Hi, I'm Erica Bugby. I am the founder of Erica Bugby Coaching, and I do a lot of practitioner training for people who work with teenagers. I specialize in teenagers, and so I want to take a few minutes to share something for the practitioners out there. If you're a coach or a therapist or you work with kids, if you have teenagers, this might help you too. One of the things that I find about teenagers is they worry about themselves a lot, maybe more than their parents. Parents worry a lot. While they're in there withdrawn and in their rooms being moody, a lot of what that is concern about themselves. They don't really understand what's going on with them. And one of the reasons why they're scared is because there's a lot of extreme behavior in teenagers. It's very common, more so in that age group than any other age group, and it freaks them out. It freaks the parents out. It freaks a lot of coaches out. So one of the coaches I was talking to last week was a little intimidated by a client who dropped out of all school activities, sports, just stopped seeing her friends, and just is under the covers most of the day. And I could tell it scared my client, who's a therapist that I was mentoring. It scared her. And so let me talk about this a little bit, about extreme behavior. One of the things that happens is that teenagers have these, essentially have moods, just like all of us have moods. So we get crabby, irritable, worried, uptight, defensive. All day long, we're going in and out of moods. We have our sort of habitual ones we tend to fall into, but our mood states change and move just like weather. They're very natural. They're very normal. But what happens is when we have a buildup of a mood and it festers, and we have something to do with that, but that's a different video. When we get in really big moods, we end up having our own version of extreme behavior. So what you see in teenagers is when they get in extreme behaviors, their extreme behaviors look like suicidal thoughts, self-harm, instant rage, crying for days at a time, sometimes having no idea why, dark thoughts, or impulsive, really risky behavior. So there's social anxiety, really extreme, and you see them in huge amounts. So that's what the landscape looks like for teenagers. For adults, when we get agitated in our moods, we have extreme behaviors, but it looks they're smaller. So like we might get really stressed out at work and come home and explode at our spouse. Or we might get into some road rage, but it doesn't turn into an altercation. We're not breaking things like teenagers do when they get into rage. So there's things that we'll have meltdowns, we'll be depressed for a few days, and we don't leave the house, we don't call people back. But they're smaller versions of extreme behaviors. What I'm pointing out here in this video is that teenagers do the same thing as adults. So they're exactly the same. They're not broken, they're not weird, and they're not going to be mentally ill for the rest of their lives. They just have much louder versions of exactly what adults do in getting into low moods and then all of a sudden having an extreme behavior come out of us. So what happens is the only difference is that teenagers, everything they do is big. So when they're excited about something, they're so excited, they're annoying. You have to get them out of the house because they're loud and they talk really fast. Like I remember just getting so hyper and jumping up and down that I almost to the point of hyperventilating. They just get so excited. When they get depressed, they get really, really depressed. It's in a way their moods. You know the Incredible Hulk? I don't know. I have teenagers, so we watch a lot of movies. So Bruce Banner is the Hulk. He's the actor, and then when he gets angry, he turns into this giant thing. And that's essentially, teenage moods are the Hulk. Our moods are Bruce Banner. So Bruce Banner gets angry or bummed out. The Hulk is just a whole nother level. And teenagers do everything they do. Their feelings are big and Hulk-like. And so it can look like there's something wrong with them because nobody else in their house is doing that. And so there's a few things to understand. That's one of them, is that they're normal, and it's just what happens when there's a buildup of mood. Now, one of the reasons I think that point is important is because if you're not afraid of their extreme behavior, and you understand, well, that's just exactly what adults do, that's sort of their way of releasing tension. So for example, rage, as soon as I have a teenager that breaks things, he gets really angry, he breaks things, as soon as he breaks something, he kind of calms down. And what I point out to him is, look, you have a natural stabilizing system. Your rage stabilizes you. I mean, it doesn't work out. You have to replace Xbox controllers, but it's not the best way to stabilize, but it's evidence that you're attached to a system that stabilizes, just like weather is. Weather comes in and then it clears. It puts their minds at ease to have another explanation other than I'm weird or crazy or unstable. That they are connected to something that helps them reset. And that it's possible for them, if they can get out from under the shame and the fear about themselves and listen, they can learn how to stabilize themselves sooner and catch it earlier and handle their moods more gracefully. It's something they can learn. We all had to learn that. So if you have somebody at work that really gets on your nerves, or some in-law that really gets on your nerves, you've learned how to calm yourself down, get less agitated, go take a breath. You sort of use your behavior as a sign that you need to calm down. And just like you catch it early and you learned, teenagers can learn that. And they can learn that about suicidal thoughts. They can learn that about rage, social anxiety. There is a buildup that they'll be able to see for themselves looking back and as they go through life. And so the fact that they're actually normal and they're doing exactly what adults do, decoding that for them, and teaching them a little bit about how you had to learn how to handle moods, and how that's just something, a part of life everybody has to learn, helps them get out from under their judgment and their shame about what happens to them, and it helps them get open, and they actually start handling their moods more productively, because all of a sudden they see them as sort of a lab experiment where they have to sort of get the hang of things with your guidance. But they can't do that while they're afraid of themselves. And it really helps if their coaches and practitioners and therapists aren't intimidated by extreme behaviors either, because there's a lot of the coaches that I mentor are scared of teenagers because they look like a foreign creature, because they come in and they're really self-conscious and awkward, or they're so worried about their session that they stayed up all night, or they spend days in bed. It's not something you see a lot of in the adult world, and so it can look like they're built different, and they're not. So it's sort of, I had a friend that drank a lot in high school. She would drink and get really emotional, and I kind of got the hang of, okay, so she's drinking again. She'd just get caught up in her emotions. And you sort of learn that in other people, and you want to start looking for that in your teenage clients. Partly because with those people, if your partner gets defensive or they get irritable at the end of the day, and you're not intimidated by it, you're not reacting to them, and which helps them. And you want to see your teenage clients as exactly that way. They just handle their moods in a way that's clumsy, and maybe gets them into trouble. You can learn, you can teach them about that. And if you're not scared of it, and it just looks like a Hulk-sized version of what happens to your partner or to your best friend when they get moody, or your sibling, your peace of mind will calm them down. So the part of this that really helps teenagers to see is that they fall apart. They sort of they freak out, as they call it. They always reset, and when they get their stability back, which they always do, they always have if they look back, they'll see they can clean up whatever messes. They can get back into life, and they can learn about what just happened so that it improves over time, so that they are more graceful in the future. But the fact that they always reset takes the worry off their minds that they have to fix themselves. And I can't tell you how much it matters to them that you feel faith in them, that they can learn and adapt and handle their extreme behaviors more gracefully. How much it helps that you feel that way. So that reassurance and faith and confidence, they're starved for it. They're living in a world of fear. Anyway, hopefully this helps put your mind at ease and helps you feel a little less intimidated by your extreme behavior clients if you have them. I hope this is helpful. Thanks.